Hello, we are live. Welcome to another Leadership in 15 live session. So welcome to those of you that have joined me on previous LinkedIn Lives. If you haven't, then just to explain, it's roughly about a 15-minute chat because I know you're all very busy people. So it's about getting to the point that you can walk away with some leadership actions in roughly around 15 minutes. Those of you that don't know me, as the screen says, I'm Jackie Turner and I'm the founder of the Turner Corner Leadership Academy. But I'm more excited to share with you my guest that's joining me on this session, the lovely Emma. So Emma, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself to our audience today?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. Yes, my name's Emma. I've roughly 15 years in operational transformation. I'm a Lean Six Sigma practitioner. And now I get to work with leaders and founders, helping them find what makes work harder and streamline that so that success doesn't exhaust them. I'm really excited to be here today to be able to chat to you, Jackie. Really looking forward to it.
I am as well, Emma, and it's a topic that I know will be of interest to the majority, including myself, because it's all about purpose over pace and, you know, avoiding being that sort of busy fool as we're describing it. We've all been there. You know, if you're with us live at the moment or watching this on recording afterwards, you could probably relate to times where we've just been really manic, really busy, perhaps haven't got done what we needed to do. So the tips today we're going to be sharing, yes, primarily we're talking about leadership, but they are relevant, I think, to the majority of us. If you are joining us live at the moment, we can't always see on LinkedIn how many people are joining us. So it is always best if you're happy to say a quick hello in the comments, because then we can see that you're with us. And of course, if you've got any questions, if we don't have time to answer those questions in the 15 minutes, then I know Emma will be more than happy to respond to those questions a little later. So Emma, shall we get started? Lovely. So I guess the starting place would be to look at, if you are a leader at the moment and you're looking at your team's week right now in terms of the things that they're focusing on, what might tell you that their effort is perhaps being focused in the wrong places?
So I'll preface this with saying it is really, really easy for me to sit here and to give simple answers to complex questions. And of course, your industries, the environments that you work in are very, very different. What works for one team, one person, one business doesn't necessarily work for everyone else. But what we can all aspire to is a culture of continuous improvement where you can be really clear on the value and the purpose of the work, and then strip out the blockers to get that done so you can make sure your best hours go there. Most businesses tend to be built on busyness over value, and you'll probably feel that in yourself if things feel a little bit frantic. But it's something that historically business have really struggled to measure. So we default to things like bums on seats, maximum effort, but humans don't operate at 100% of the time. Are you the same person at 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m.? Because I'm not. I'm definitely not. No, and nobody is. And that's okay. But I think if you can keep that in the back of your mind when you're looking at this, that is a really good place to start. And then the second thing is look at yourself first. You set the standard with your team. So where in your week are you adding value? Where are you receiving it? Where are you the bottleneck for things? Can your team make decisions without you? How many calls are you on where you're actually working away in the background, and then all of a sudden someone comes to you and you realize you've been asked a question and you freeze and you do that, oh God, what was it? But assess it in a way that works for you. What I like to do is look at a sort of one-to-many benchmark. Mm-hmm. How much of your time as a leader are you getting to lead and working in a way that impacts one-to-many rather than one-to-one? And there will always be times when you do need to do that. One time with your team, with specific clients is really, really important. But if it's overtaking the time where you're actually one to many, that is what is going to hamper your influence there. Then if you can look at your team, I think the really, really important things is to see what that looks like, what that flow is. Are there protected deep focus blocks, or are your team constantly task switching? Are they back to back on meetings, calls, group work with no recovery, no thinking time between it? And actually, how much control do they have over their own time, over their own week? Is that structured by them, or is that sort of put onto them as well?
Yeah, I think, you've touched on some really important things there, because I've been, my training I've been doing recently, talking about the importance of, have you got time to take a break? And I've lost count of the number of managers that have said to me, I'm too busy to take a break, and that saddens me as well when people say that that's become a regular occurrence, that, they're really, really busy, but where do they get that time to recharge, to reflect, and get into that bad mindset and that bad habit of saying, I'm too busy to take a break? And I'm guessing that's something that you probably come across as well in the job that you do, Emma.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think coming back to that value part is really, really important. If you are looking at your weekend of your teams, keep the value in mind, where you're adding it, where you're receiving it, where you can see that. Now you can assess it however that works for you. If you've already got something that you do that you can assimilate in there, whether you red, amber, green it, score it, emojis on it, you can do Hogwarts houses, like whatever makes sense to you, that says this activity here brings an awful lot of value, this one not so much. Because you know what it's like, your requirements will grow but your capacity does not, so something has to give. And that's really natural. That's a really, really good practice to get into, to have something new come in but go, okay, well, what needs to stop? Does this replace something else that we're already doing? Is that report going to then cover this one? What is it that brings that is a specific value, but does it displace something else?
Yeah. When you talk about value, because I'm just thinking, somebody that may be watching this with us at the moment, or even a little bit later with the recording, how would you describe how somebody should define value? So if I'm thinking, right, I've got all these tasks, what's of value, what isn't? Is there an easy way for me to think about how I should define that term value?
Yeah, absolutely, because it will mean very, very different things depending on what your type of work is, what industry that you are in. Value will move you forward in things. It will enhance your knowledge of something. It will also be, this is your lead to cash. This activity, this thing is what makes the revenue. It's what makes the output. That doesn't necessarily mean that the groundwork, the thinking time, the planning time, whilst not necessarily having that direct output, it is also the really core foundation to getting it done. That in itself will have a very, very high value to you. And I would check how you feel after it. Do you feel drained or do you feel energized? Like how did that feel going through it? Did it feel like you were prepared for it? Did it feel like actually that was a really easy conversation? Work's allowed to be easy. Like it doesn't always need to feel hard all the time. Like that just flowed really, really well. And you will know when that happens. It will be a conversation with your team, or you will realize you are just rattling something off in a leadership session where actually you go, I didn't prepare anything for that, but I just knew it. And that flow state is what I would definitely call value. It's where things are delivering and they feel good. They feel easy. They feel like they are coming together, and it is not that clutching at straws, the chopping about going, oh, what am I on now? That, however you define that, I use the word value, and as I say, they all mean different things to different people. It's language I am used to, but flow, energy, whatever works for you, whatever is the thing that you can connect to.
Yeah, I love that way of looking at value, and being a naturally strong reflector person. I don't have to think too hard about, building in time for myself just to reflect on that, my working week. What have I done well? What might I change? What might I do differently for next week? Otherwise, we just go about our weeks, in terms of habit forming behavior, don't we? So would you say it's important generally for people to build into their working schedule during their working week some reflection time? Would you say that's something important the leader should do?
Absolutely. There is this human habit whereby we want to fill every second of the day. You will look at, oh, I've got 5 minutes, I can definitely put that in there. For anything that you are looking at, I would say optimize for 80%. And that is usually the golden rule, whether you are in HR, whether you are in sort of development and delivery. If you are trying to optimize for 100%, you're never going to get to that. Again, humans don't work like that. Your team, take leave. You need to take leave. You need those rests and breaks in there. 80% is a really strong number to get to. It might be lower just depending on what the makeup of your team is, but 80% is going to give you a much more sustainable route than 100 is. And allowing that buffer, that flexibility, that reflective time, because we've all done it. We've all put our development hours in. We've all put our, right, this is the time where I'm going to make sure that I've done this, this, and this, I'm going to switch off. And it is the first thing that goes from your calendar. You will sacrifice that to put something else in. Of course, I can do another call. Of course, I can speak to this person. I can do it over there because that time can move. And the more resilient you can get with protecting those times when you are most effective, when you can get into flow, when you can see that your teams do. I've seen some really creative stuff around this, because if you can get your team on board with this, it is a brilliant thing to plan together. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really engaging thing to do, which is, I recognize there are times where we are absolutely flying and then times when it feels really hard. When is that? What can we do with it? And I've seen teams go for, right, Fridays, no meetings. That is our time to get everything sorted so that no one is taking mental load into the weekend that just isn't helpful. I've seen some really creative stuff where they have silence hours, where if you want to speak to someone, you have to write it down on a piece of paper and then wave it around or take a picture. If you're remote, you'd be amazed what can wait when you can't be bothered to go and get a pen and write it down. The other thing is, how many different ways have people got to get in touch with you? I feel like it grows by another thing every day. You've got your phone, and whether that's WhatsApp or phone or text message. Have you got Slack? Have you got Teams? Have you got Outlook? Have you got all those other things? Do they go on mute at any point, or are they just sort of different routes? Or do people try you on Teams and then you can see there's an email coming through them as well? Like, all of that noise is going to keep chipping away at what you are trying to do. Be really, really comfortable with protecting that time and muting it. And I don't think anyone who wants to be successful and wants you to succeed would say that that is not a good thing, that they would challenge that. This is my time to get this done. If that means that the first hour, 2 hours of the day, we try not to have meetings, we won't put things in ourselves, then that is a really, really good standard to get to.
Yeah, I love that sort of muting. I often talk about people just switching off an email notification. You know, there are pop-ups that keep coming up constantly on your screen. And we're all tempted, because you can see it out the corner of your eye, a little bit about what that email is about. And then you think, oh, well, I may as well open it. I may as well read it. I may as well respond to it. And before you know it, half an hour is gone, because you've now had 10 emails in your inbox and you're slowly going through them. So yeah, that muting or switching something off for a period of time, I absolutely agree with. Really quickly, because I can't believe how quick this time has gone, Emma. If a leader is saying they don't have control over their diary in terms of how it gets filled, what would you say to that?
I would say I hear you 100%, and you know, I've been there, and I think this, where, you know, we've called this purpose over pace. Perfection is the opposite of done. You are never going to get this 100% right. It's never going to be perfect. These things take little changes, and they take iterations as well. I have complete control of my calendar, and there's still days where I go, how have I ended up booked back to back? No one does this perfectly. And if they do, I love that for them. Then I want to get there. But it is a constant improvement. It is a constant iteration. The thing that will really, really help you when you are, you know, if you are managing up, if you are managing around to your peers as well, is visibility. I've talked quite a lot about the time, but there's some really important bits around the task and the work itself. If the work isn't already visible, make sure that it is, even if that is a simple board, a shared tracker. I know a lot of software and development teams will already use things like Asana and DevOps and what have you. They'll have things like that, whereas operational teams might not do that. A flip chart will work, but something that means you've got the work is visible, that then becomes your data point in the absence of anything else. So if you're able to go, this is where we are at the moment, and I really believe by doing these things, these changes, we are able to move here, that will help tell the story, because it takes the emotion out of it. You can refer back to those numbers. You can also then use that to document what you're doing. So if you're batching similar tasks together, if you're automating the stuff that's repetitive and manual, that is a great win to have. You can always then be able to take that to your tech teams. If you can say, actually, we've worked out these things are taking the time to do, we would love to be able to, who do we have a conversation with to get those things automated? All of this becomes your data and your power to be able to have that conversation, to be able to manage up and influence with your leader, with your peers, that I've noticed we drop off at this point. This is a time I'd really like to protect. What are you doing? Is that okay? Like, can we test that? But are you doing something different? Be as visible and transparent as possible, because it will invite in some really, really good questions, but it will help you be able to tailor it so that if I need to tweak this and this, you're involving other people in there.
Yeah, some fantastic tips and thoughts that you've shared there, Emma, which I've got no doubt our audience today will have found a benefit. If there was one, what's the one smallest action that somebody could take away from this session today that might have the biggest immediate impact on them? What might you say that would be?
I think the small action is a great point. It would be lovely to be able to go big bang and just say, right, let's go from a blank state. Everything's deleted. We'll start again. And if you can do that, by all means, go for it. But it is the small things, small iterations, small tests, small changes that will start to really build that up. The first thing I would definitely do is look at your, I would say current condition, but what it looks like now. What does it look like right now? Are you happy with it? Does that feel right? And if not, let's start changing smaller things. Can we take that meeting out? Can we pull that one together? Does that also talk to that? And work through those. If you can get that baseline of where we are right now, is there a reason to change? That is where you can start to build on it.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Emma. If anybody wants to get in touch with you to find out more about what you do and how you can support them, what's the best way to get in touch with you, lovely?
Absolutely. Grab me on LinkedIn, or as you can see, Jackie's very helpfully put up my QR code if you'd like to book some time in with me there. I work with individuals and I work with organisations around everything we've talked about, and other more focuses on neurodivergence as well. So I would love to have that conversation.
Thank you ever so much, Emma. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat today. I hope if you've joined us that you found it, not just valuable to you, but an interesting conversation that we've had today. Do let us know in the comments if you do have any questions. Either get in touch with myself, or I know Emma will absolutely welcome any questions that you have in order to provide answers to those questions and any further support that you may have. But yeah, do let us know if you're watching this on recording as well. Pop some feedback in. Let us know if you found it of value to you. Thank you, Emma. I know you're a very busy lady, so it's really been appreciated you giving up your time today, and I'm sure the audience have appreciated that as well.
Thank you very much. Loved it.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon, evening, or whenever you're watching it. Thank you, everybody.